Hello everyone and welcome back to another Storytime video. Today I am going to talk about last year's Super Bowl, as I always do right before the Super Bowl. Now, the NFL regular season got an extra week added to it, so there's now 17 weeks. So instead of the Super Bowl being this Sunday, it is the Sunday after next. But regardless, because I'm going to talk about what turned out to be Tom Brady's last Super Bowl, I'm going to quickly, well, maybe not quite so quickly as I intend, but I'm going to point out and say that after Tom Brady's retirement this past Tuesday, so February 1st, that I think the greatest player to ever play the game has officially retired. I was fully convinced that he was the greatest player of all time. Well, the greatest of all time. The GOAT! Whenever he executed that 25-point comeback in Super Bowl 51. Before that, I was debating whether or not he was, and I was about 50-50. I was kind of willing to admit that he was the best. Before his fourth Super Bowl, I wasn't really willing to admit that, but I could see the argument and not think people were out of their minds. But after Super Bowl 51 and that 25-point comeback, like I said, it was fully, this guy is the best. No one else could do that. Now he's won 5 Super Bowls. He has 2 more than any other quarterback in the game. And he tied five. Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw 4. But yeah, he had the most Super Bowls out of any quarterback. Charles Haley has 5 Super Bowl rings, as a matter of fact. So he is the second most Super Bowl rings, not a quarterback. But after that, it's like, okay, he has 5. He has more than any other quarterback. And I doubt any other quarterback would really be able to do that in those circumstances. So it's like, okay, only the greatest of all time would be able to do something like that. And as a Panthers fan, I actually wanted New England to win. So the fact that everybody was so willing to rip into Atlanta, I was like, yes. And I'm sure that Saints and Buccaneers fans felt the same. After that, it's like, yes, more ammunition to rip into the Falcons with, as well as Panthers fans ripping into the Falcons. But, yeah, Tom Brady was a terrific player. Well, of course he was a terrific player. Tom Brady is a player that I am actually going to miss watching. I hate to see any terrific quarterback leave. it took me a bit to get adjusted to the fact that Peyton Manning retired several years ago. I was a little bit younger when Brett Favre retired for the last time. For the last time, anyway. After the Vikings. So I didn't really appreciate the fact that he was there and that he's gone. That he was gone. And the Saints just feel so weird without Drew Brees as their quarterback. And Sean Payton now as their head coach. But regardless, I'm going to miss Tom. I don't think we'll see anything like he put out there on the field. I do not think that Patrick Mahomes will replicate the amount of Super Bowls that he has. Could he break several of his records? Sure, because of 17-game seasons. I mean, if Patrick Mahomes plays 15 more seasons, because he just completed one with a 17-game schedule, it will be like playing an entirely new season compared to what a lot of these quarterbacks had with 16 games. So, but that's another discussion with records and asterisks maybe put beside them, but I'm not going to get into that. Okay, Super Bowl 55. Jeez, it's already Super Bowl 56 coming up soon. I remember when we were in the 30s. Jesus. Okay, so, of course, the Super Bowl 55 took place in Tampa Bay between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Kansas City Chiefs. It was the first ever year that the team got to play a home game in the Super Bowl. This year is going to be the second, with the Los Angeles Rams playing in Los Angeles. Now, this was not done on purpose, as the locations are determined several years in advance. Typically, the Super Bowl is played either in warm weather or in a dome, where they don't have to worry about snow and all this other stuff. Even though I would argue that a Super Bowl in the snow would be pretty cool to watch. I mean, that when I think of football in December and January, and not February yet, because there hasn't been a Super Bowl like it, but when I think of football in December and January, I think of cold weather, kind of like the playoff game between the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. That game is basically what I think of when I think of December and January football. So, cold, snowy, but regardless. So that was not on purpose that Tampa Bay would play in their own stadium for the Super Bowl, or Los Angeles for this year, but that's for next year. So I believe the Buccaneers went into it as the favorites. I don't know. I don't bet on games. But as a reminder, in terms of betting, only only bet what you can afford, set limits, and bet responsibly. I just thought I'd throw that in there with betting. So, throughout the game in Tampa Bay, I thought that the Chiefs' offense would be fine. I really thought the Chiefs' offense would be fine because I really do like Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback. I really do. Now, I think his defense will let him down a lot of the time and not allow him to get 7 Super Bowls like Tom Brady. But we shall see. But the Chiefs were without their top 2 offensive tackles. So they were without their starting right tackle and their starting left tackle. And it went poorly for them as they could not get a whole lot of pass protection as Tampa Bay were basically able to rush 4 or 5 and drop 6 or 7 into coverage. And if the running back had to block, then you would only have a possible 4 players in the pattern. So you would have 6 or 7 people to cover 4 players. It's like, yeah, I like those odds. And so Kansas City was unable to score a touchdown throughout the day. But I believe Tampa won the turnover battle. But Tampa Bay was trying to give Kansas City more opportunities earlier in the game with turnovers of their own. But unfortunately, due to hardly any pass protection and Mahomes running for his life, he could not really do anything. Now, I will bring up, since I'm remembering it, the fan that went onto the field. First off, I do not condone anybody going out onto the field and, any fans going out onto the field. It's not lawful. I do not condone things that are not lawful. So don't run out onto the field if you're a fan. You will get arrested for that. But the fan got to the end zone. The Chiefs could not get to the end zone. But the game was all right. I mean, it was just Tampa got out to a lead, which made Kansas City really one-dimensional. And when a team is one-dimensional, it is harder to score, of course, because the defense typically knows what you're going to do. And the Chiefs turned one-dimensional partly due to they got behind, I should say, partly because of the fact that they could not capitalize on turnovers and scoring touchdowns. I believe the final score was 31-9. A 31-21 game would have been a lot more respectable and, of course, close. Of course, Kansas City scoring touchdowns and not field goals might have. Well, it probably would not have changed the outcome, but it definitely would have changed something. And so when I play the Evils Dynasty, a football dynasty I have on this channel, that's why I typically don't like to go for field goals. Because it's like, you're not going to win by kicking field goals all the time. You're going to win by scoring touchdowns, not field goals. But regardless, the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers, yes, you heard me right, the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers won the Super Bowl last year. And I don't exactly know if that settles the debate between who was more integral to those Patriots teams, Tom Brady or Bill Belichick. Because honestly, I think they needed each other to succeed. So I kind of hate to look at it as without one, the other would have been able to replicate that. Oh no, I do not think that. Even though Tom Brady did win a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay in his first year, he had home playoff games this year, and he lost in the divisional round. And Bill Belichick was able to guide the Patriots to the playoffs with a rookie quarterback, which is very difficult to do. I get that they got blown out in the wild card, but the Buffalo Bills are just really good. But I believe that this year's Super Bowl between the Los Angeles Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals will be really good, and I am excited to watch it. I don't remember if I gave a prediction. I think I do give a prediction at the end of these videos where I talk about the last year's Super Bowl. But regardless of whether I do or not, here's the thing. On paper, the Rams should win because their team has more playoff experience and championship experience. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl 3 years ago. A storytime video that was probably very short. But Matthew Stafford, he hadn't won a playoff game before this year, and that's because he was in Detroit all those years. So the quarterback does not have championship experience. But the rest of the team does. Mostly, anyway. But the Bengals are an upstart team led by Joe Burrow, who technically does have championship experience, Well, that is if you count his 2019 LSU season. If you do, then he does have championship experience. If you don't, then he doesn't. But I like Joe Burrow's moxie. He and the Bengals were not supposed to go on the road into Tennessee and Kansas City and win. But when they did, and it's because Joe Burrow is so cool and calm in those high pressure situations. And the Rams are playing at home. So, the second straight year a team will play in their home stadium for the Super Bowl. After 54 seasons where it had never been done before. It happens twice in a row. But my gut wants to say Rams because their roster is loaded and they're playing at home. But I like the Bengals in this one because of Joe Burrow's moxie and because they have been playing like they have nothing to lose. And they have nothing to lose yet again. And I feel like there's more pressure on Matthew Stafford than there is on Joe Burrow. Because I knew about how good Matthew Stafford was before this year, but I do feel like there's more pressure for him to succeed, not only to further prove that, that Lions management was holding him back, but also you have those lingering questions of, is this guy truly great if he hasn't won anything in the NFL? That's kind of quelled a little bit with winning 3 straight playoff games, but I realize there are some detractors that will not be satisfied until he wins the Super Bowl. And he is in his, I think he's 33 or 34. He's in his early 30s or mid 30s. I don't remember. But, so I bring up his age to say that Joe Burrow is a lot younger. So maybe he doesn't have as much pressure on him. Also because he knows how to handle it better from that season at LSU. But I don't know, but I would say that Joe Burrow would be able to handle the pressure better than Matthew Stafford, and that's why. I get that people were saying this about Dan Marino in the 80s, and it was warned a couple of years ago when Patrick Mahomes made the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. But I do feel like Joe Burrow will be back in the Super Bowl at some point in the future. I just don't quite know about Matthew Stafford. I just don't know. This might be the Rams' best chance to win a Super Bowl here in the next few years, potentially. I could be very well wrong, but I do feel like the Bengals have a better chance to win the Super Bowl moving forward beyond this year than the Rams do. So I but it could be where Joe Burrow never goes back to the Super Bowl. Dan Marino, after 84, never went back to the Super Bowl himself. And people were worried that Patrick Mahomes would never go back to the Super Bowl ever again after 2019. Heck, he might not go back after for the rest of his career. I think he will, but that's a moot point. But I just feel like there's a lot more pressure on Matthew Stafford to perform, and I don't know if he'll be able to handle it as well as Joe Burrow will be able to handle it. So I've got the Bengals winning this one, actually. It would mean one less franchise has not won a Super Bowl before, but so be it. So be it. Everybody, well, practically every fan base deserves a Super Bowl throughout their lives. Oh, practically every, not every single one, but practically every single fan base deserves at least one Super Bowl throughout their lives. So, yeah, I got the Bengals winning this one. But yes, so that will bring an end to the story time. And so yes, guys, I do believe that will do it for this storytime video. And till next storytime video, I will see you all later. Goodbye, guys! Thank you all for watching.